Hello everyone, my name is Aryan and this is the Horsepower Show. Today we are in beautiful Northern California. It's a bit of an overcast day today. Unfortunately, it's not that sunny, but that does not stop us from destroying the YouTube game today. Not saying. So basically, what we're doing today, and this video is gonna be a little bit different because in essence, I'm gonna be comparing two different cars. First one is gonna be the brand new 2018 Subaru Crosstrek, but that car is currently back in Vancouver. But what I'm gonna be comparing it with is this, the brand new 2017 Porsche Macan. Alright peeps, so we're gonna start with the key, the classic Porsche key. So there are three buttons on here. The first one at the top unlocks the vehicle, the second one in the middle that unlocks the vehicle, and the third one on the bottom opens the trunk. Let me demonstrate. Unlocked, locked, and this button will open that rear trunk. Another thing that you may be able to notice with the key is it's actually shaped like a car. Well, it's actually shaped like Porsche's 911 or the Panamera or whichever way you want to interpret it, but it's shaped like a car. And it has this fancy-mancy little keyring to go with the key. Alrighty, so like I mentioned, this is the 2017 Porsche Macan, and it is definitely a very nice example of the Macan. So basically that means it's the base model. However, once we touch on some exterior bits and some interior bits, you can definitely tell and recognize that although it may be a base Macan, it definitely has a lot of high-end options. Let's start with these headlights, ladies and gentlemen. So let's actually just stand far away from the vehicle. They don't look that good, but let me tell you, let's just get closer to the vehicle. And when you can really get in close with those headlights, they almost look like there's something from the Transformers. Like there's almost like different layers of it, and it's super cool when you get super close to them. Right underneath the headlights we have this air intake here, and then we have the huge Porsche front grille that's just sucking in all that air. Fog lights down here, and you can just see the radiator in there that's just sucking in all the air that's going into the front of the vehicle. We've got our turn signals here, and ricer bro, that's the front facing camera. Very handy thing. And you got the sensors in here for the front, and we're gonna go into the inside of the vehicle and check that out in a second. But then we got the Porsche logo right in the center. That's how you know it's quality built, not saying. So that's the front of the vehicle. Let's move on to the side of the car, where I think it really stands out. This particular example of the Macan proves itself that it's not just a base Macan. So right here we've got the turbo spec wheels. I don't know how big they are exactly, but they're sitting on Pirelli tires at the moment. And if we zoom in, you can see the brake discs, huge brake discs, and this is very cool touch right here. You can actually see the suspension system right in there underneath. So there's definitely a big gap from this panel here to the actual tire, about that big, and my fingers are pretty huge. In my opinion, that black line there on the side of the car, on the side sill, I think that does a really great job of breaking up the lines and the colors on this specific Macan. As we move down the car, we've got the wing mirrors, and you can see the turn signals in there, and you got a little camera. I don't know if you can see that right there. Got a camera in there. Moving on down the side, we got the turbo wheels again. Never forget to mention. And then now we are at the back of the vehicle. So some obvious pointers to point out here. Porsche logo, standard Macan, and since it's a standard Macan, you got just one big tailpipe. Rather, if it was the Macan S model, then you would have two tailpipes on either side, making it four in total. It's got super wide and thick tires as well. You got the tow thing right there. And then let's move on to these lights. Again, if we stand far away from the vehicle, you probably think that those rear tail lights aren't that special. But it's when we get up close and personal with them that you can really tell the detail. So you've got this one solid line that comes all the way through here, and I'm gonna be inserting B-roll, note to self, so that you can see it in more detail. But it's when you get up close and personal with the tail lights and the headlights that they really start to stand out. Also on the back of the car, you have the rear sensors. Actually four. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the back bumper. And the safety on this car is actually insane, because all of the rear sensors and cameras and all the technology that comes with this car is insane. We're gonna move on to the interior in a second. There's also this very subtle rear diffuser underneath the vehicle, and that really helps when air is traveling underneath the vehicle. Alright, ladies and gents, so time to move on to the interior of the car. This is actually so cool. So I've got the key in my pocket right now. Door's locked, but since I got the key, door opens up, and we're gonna start from this side of the vehicle, this side of the interior, move our way across. So as you can tell, there are an array of different buttons on this side area here. Let me go through them for you. So these four control the four windows. These two control the side mirrors and moving them along with this. This button, you can press it and that turns off the blind zone. This again helps adjust the mirrors. This button, this is the master button for the windows. So if you want to lock all the windows and you don't want to let your passengers bring your windows down, then you press that button, and that button opens the trunk. Then you got your lock and unlock, door handle, very nice. I love the feel of these door handles, they're actually great. And then you got your different seat positions here. You can position the seat to whatever you like, and then you can set the seat position so that the car memorizes the seat position that you like, so that every time you get into the vehicle, then it's a bing bang boom and you're away, nasa? Alright, so let's move on to the actual interior. So there's a little Macan logo on the side sill there, Porsche mats, but these buttons are pretty great. This one controls your leg, so you can bring it in and out like that. This one controls your seat going forward or back. This one controls the back of the seat, or it can come forward. And this button here is the lumbar positioning. Now that we're in the vehicle, you've got the very great sound system by Bose. So let's just close the door for a second. So now we're all in here alone. So this button is for your lights. So you got off, auto, your low beams and your high beams, and you can turn that according to what you want. This is probably one of my most favorite parts of this car. This is actually a fixed key. This isn't a real key. You can't take it out or do anything with it. It's fixed in there. It's basically a dummy key for the car. And what you do, and Porsche is the only company that has their key on the left side. Normally, you take the key and you put it in there somewhere on the right side of the steering wheel, and then you're away. But this is the only car, the only brand that puts their key knob things on the left side of the steering wheel. So what you do is you have your key in your pocket, this one. You've got this in your pocket, like so, and all you do is foot on the brake and you just turn that fake key like so. And now the car is on, but I'm gonna turn it off for a second because I don't want to waste fuel or anything, but I'm gonna have to leave the ignition on so that we can go through all the systems. Let's start with the steering wheel. Now this steering wheel has very nice grip, leather all around, and on here as well with the Porsche logo on the horn. But what's special about this steering wheel is it comes straight out of the 918 hypercar from Porsche. So basically Porsche, some of you may know this, some of you may not know this, but Porsche made a multi-million-dollar hypercar that when it first came out, it costed around $800,000, but now you can find some for 1.2, 1.4 even if you have the YSAC package. So this steering wheel is straight out of that 918 hypercar, and Porsche has put in all of their models since the debut of that hypercar, and I think that's super dope because you have these holes in the center of it and in here, and the grip is amazing with the paddles, and I'm going to go through that in a second. But this steering wheel is a great feel. It's absolutely an honor to drive this car. Let's start with this section of the steering wheel. This button controls volume, okay, on the stereo. So, and then here, when your Bluetooth is connected, you can press that button to answer calls, and then press that button to hang up and decline calls. This little triangle here, I actually have no idea what that does, but that's okay. This button, okay, let's start with this little knob. In the center we have 3 dials. The dial on the far left is speed in miles an hour, and then on the bottom little screen there, it shows your mileage. In the middle, and with true, this is with true Porsche fashion, there's this huge rev counter, so you can count your revs, and then it also shows your speed there, your gear there if you're in park, reverse, neutral, drive, or manual, and then in this little screen there, it also shows you your gear. So let me demonstrate. Let me turn the car on. The car's in park right now, so if I put it in drive, neutral, drive, and then if I slide the gear lever over, it's now in manual mode. And then you have that far right screen, and you can control that screen via this button here. So you can control what that screen shows. So you could have your trip information, your little map there that can correspond with what's showing on there. You can have your phone, you can have your audio, vehicle stuff, so water temperature, oil temperature, tire temperature, and then you have your fuel there and how much range you have and how much fuel you have in your tank. That is the icon for the lane departure that I'll get onto in a second. Torque split and other various vehicle dynamics that you can see in that screen over there. This lever here controls your signals, so signal left, signal right, as you all know. And then you can also control voice commands from this button on the side here. This little button down here controls your cruise control. So basically, cruise control is a system where, for example, if you're cruising on the highway and you want to match your speed with the car in front of you so that you don't have to put your foot on the gas and just accelerate, brake, whatever, the car can match itself with the car that's in front of you so that you don't have to do any action with your feet. So it's basically an autopilot system, but not fully autopilot, if you know what I mean. Then on the side of the steering wheel, you have your paddles. When you're in manual mode, this paddle changes down with the little negative sign, and that paddle changes up with the little positive sign. Now let's move on to this big screen here. So there are various things you can do with this screen. This is the tuner for your radio. You can choose make presets, choose which radio you want to listen to. This is media, so if you want to connect your iPod, your USB, whatever. Source, so this is the source for the media. You can choose aux cable, Bluetooth, disc, whatever it may be. This is your phone for when your Bluetooth is connected. This is all your car info, so you have your trip information, outside temperature, your range for your gas, drive time, all of this trip information here. Assist, so you have all these cameras here. So this is one of the coolest bits. So you can choose which one you want to see. So you can see the overhead 360-degree one. You can see in front of you, behind you, the size of the car. It's a funny one. And then those front areas, and then the back areas. So that's the car information, assist. And then if you go into set, there's all these vehicle settings where you can adjust lights, heating, that type of thing, system, to change the date, time, language, that sort of stuff. Your screen brightness, that sort of stuff. So that was car. And if we go home, it has all of these apps here, which are basically the exact same as these buttons. Apps, you have to download the PCM Connect app on your phone, and then you can have Apple CarPlay up here. My Screen, which shows various different options that you can probably put on there. And then set, we were just there. Up here we have a little clock, and it can also be used as a stopwatch if you want. In here we've got a little compartment for CDs. And then we move on to the center console, which is a maze. Basically, to put it into very simple terms, you have a dual climate zone control. So this area is for my climate control, and this area is for my passenger's climate control. And there are various things where you can, the normal stuff, hazards. This is your little downhill mode, so you can press that button when you're going downhill, and the car does some engine braking and some little things to help you go down hills. And this is all for AC, for your windshield, to get rid of the fog, etc, etc. But let's move down here where the juice is really at. So here you can control where the air is blowing at for your AC, that type of thing. If you want your heated seats on, and then you have your air conditioned seats, you can have them both on at the same time, which is kind of weird. And then you have your parking brake, sport mode, traction control off. This button turns off, so this car comes standard with start stop, and you can basically turn that off if you want. I find it super annoying whenever you stop the car, the engine turns off, and then when you get moving again, the engine turns back on. It's supposed to save gas, but it doesn't do anything, so I like that off. This is lane departure, so whenever you're swerving out of your lane or whatever, the car notifies you so that you stay in your lane. Off-road mode basically helps with suspension and that type of thing when you're going off-road in gravel or sandy areas, for example. And then you have the same settings for the air conditioning and that sort of thing on your passenger side as well. Now for the gear lever. So basically we've got park, reverse, neutral, and drive. And then on this side we've got manual mode. If you bring the lever down and across, you're now in manual mode, and you can change up and down using this gear lever. So up, you've got a little Macan logo in there, ashtray, cup holders, and then you've got your fans and air stuff in there. You've got a little compartment in there to store stuff. You've got compartments on the side of the seats. Something that's very interesting and handy is if you look into the mirror here, this little black panel actually is a blind zone detector. So basically, when instead of looking over your shoulder to check for blind zones, a little light pops up in this black panel that notifies you that there's a car or a person or a bicycle or whatever that's in your blind zone. So you don't actually have to check over your shoulder, although it may be a safer option, but you could just check, for example, if you're changing lanes, and then you can just check once in your mirror and check that blind zone thing just to make sure if there's anyone in your blind zone. On the top here, there are also an array of buttons that you can control things. So this button controls that light there. You can turn it on, same with that one there. This button controls this entire light that's here. This button controls whether or not you want the lights to turn on when you open the door. This button controls the lights that are back there. You've got, if you want your parking sensors off, then you press that button. And then these three buttons are for the garage. So if you have 3 different garages, this is actually a very interesting process. We did this to we actually configured this button to correspond with that garage. You press that button there, the garage should open up. Yep. So you can also have different garages for number 2 and number 3. And then what else do we have here? You have your passenger airbag on and off. And then this can open the rear sunroof, and it does have a panoramic sunroof, so it's actually really cool. It opens from the very front all the way to the back there. That's very cool. And to close it, boom. So to summarize this interior, it's just beautiful, beautiful tan leather. It feels so nice in the interior. Behind, if we open the door, you've got respectable legroom. It's not much. I'm a tall guy. I'm not exactly comfortable in the back of here, but you got 2 little compartments in there, compartments there. You can bring this down to put your cup holders in there. And then here, it actually has heated seats so that you can warm your rear ends. And then you can also control the temperature that comes out of here from those 2 knobs there. Also 2 USB ports, very handy for when you got people that want to charge their phones back here. But overall, it's just a kingdom of leather and luxury in the interior of this thing. To open the rear trunk, there's actually this button right underneath this rear windshield, and you press it, and boom, it opens up. There's a respectable, sorry it's a bit messy in here, but there's a respectable amount of luggage space in here. Not too bad, but I guess it's pretty good. And to close the trunk, you can press this little button here, and the thing closes like so. There's also a little compartment in here that you can open to store stuff. Ooh, lollipop. It also has USB and aux cord and a little power outlet in there. Handy. So in order to correspond the garage door opener button with your actual garage door, it's actually a very fun process. We did this the other day. So basically you take your old fob, your old garage door opener for your garage, and you stand in front about 30 centimeters or 12 inches away from this front sensor in the front, and you press that button down, this button, for about a minute until the turn signals flash 3 times. So basically once you do that, the car recognizes that you're trying to teach it that you want to correspond the garage door opener button with your garage door at home, And basically once you do that and then you're successful, then all you have to do is go and press the buttons that I showed you up there so that you choose which garage door button you want to correspond with your garage door. So as you saw, there were 3 different ones, and this garage door corresponds with garage door opener number 1. Now I think it's time to go for a spin. What do you guys think?